it taught me how to speak. So I would go and because I believed that that was the best thing for me to do. Knock on doors, go out with the publishers, and stay away from home as much as humanly possible. But later on, at 16, I had come to the conclusion that this was just wrong. There was too many things wrong with the cult. And again, like I said, if I knew then what I know now and had the intestinal fortitude to go and say something, then I probably would have ended up a lot different. But I didn't. And here I am. And that's okay. So I went out with the pioneers, the special pioneers, and it was all the same. But it was better than staying at home. So at 17, I had dropped out of school, not because of the secular education thing that the witnesses do, but because it was more important to stay at home and do housework than to learn and be taught by secular education. So I'm stuck at home doing nothing but housework, trying to appease my father while going to meetings and knowing at this point, at 17, that it was only a matter of time before I could go and walk and get out and leave and never look back again. And I couldn't wait for it. There were days where I would fall asleep crying because of what was going on and because of what I had to deal with. I had way too many adult emotions in my early childhood, and it was too much. I would go and picture a bottle, and it would be right here, and every time that I would have a negative emotion, it would go into the bottle, and it would crack, and I'd mentally tape it up, glue it up, and just hold it. I would hold it in and wait for the opportunity to go and say, okay, this is it. And I knew that it would go and show itself. And it did. My father had called the Social Security office trying to find my mother, which she had had a restraining order on him, but some lady that he was talking to gave an address or part of an address covering the phone, and he got enough of the address to go and find her. So he went off for 3 days or 4, and he found her. He figured that he would try and get back together, whatever he was thinking, I don't know. But he came back, and by the way, that time that he was away from me, the best taste of freedom that I could possibly imagine at the time. I had not tasted that type of freedom, and with the witnesses the way that they are, you're not free. You have to speak the way that you are taught. You have to do what you're told. You have to, all these rules, and here I am, a Jehovah's Witness child, and I have freedom. I didn't know what to do with it. I did not know what to do with it. So I sat for the first day and just did nothing and processed what was happening. So he comes back from finding my mother, and he says that we're going to move. She had metastasized bone cancer. It was terminal. It was stage 4. She knew she was going to die, and she wanted to be with family, right? Jehovah's Witnesses, family oriented. Let me tell you what, unless you piss them off, then you're disassociated and they look through you. So as soon as he said we're moving, in my brain it clicked. This is it. This is the opportunity that I'm waiting for. So, being the good Jehovah's Witness child, I go and tell my congregation that I'm moving. And at this point, he's not coming to meetings with me. He is, by all accounts, not studying. And whatever that is, I don't know. Maybe he saw something wrong too, I don't know. But what I do know is that that was my ticket out of the whole situation, of my family life, of my home life, of the witness life, everything. It was my taste of freedom, and I was gonna take it. And I sat down after we'd moved, and I said hi to my mother and all that. And by the way, she didn't think that I wanted anything to do with her. She had tried to come and find me when I was 14, and I was in a state of fear when a knock on the door happened. I thought it was the police or something. And I opened the door, and she goes, "Hi, Nathan," and I immediately shut it. Immediately. And I go back into the house, and like the good child, put my head down and do nothing. I was scared. I was scared for her because of what I had gone through that day. And her family would never let it down. Never. They didn't know the situation that I was going through. They didn't care. All they knew was their sister, my mother, was trying to help me. And no fault of their own, they didn't know the indoctrination was strong. So I shut the door, and that was that. And my mom and I had sat down later on after we'd moved, and we had the longest talk that we have ever had. It lasted 2-3 hours into the night, and she explained to me that she was afraid for her life. She explained to me that she wanted help out, and we made a plan to basically kick him out of the house. And being the good witness child, I was conflicted. But I knew that at this point it was basically do or die. Get your freedom and go about your way. I chose to be with my mother. And he got kicked out. A restraining order was placed on him, and that was that. We had moved. Again, my mom and I had moved. And still conflicted. I had gone to the congregation here where I'm at. And the indoctrination is very strong with these people. You have to understand that. The cult won't leave you, but you can leave the cult. So here I am, no experience whatsoever, no job experience, no life experience, and in a strange place. I don't know anybody, and everybody around me is worldly, and I was in a very bad place. I had freedom, but I was in a very, very bad place because I did not know how to function correctly. It was never taught to me how to function in the real world. Every single time I hear that word, I immediately go, worldly. I'm part of the world now. And it's strange because I know everything is okay. But here it is, the indoctrination is extremely strong. And I was 18 at the time when this all happened. More on that later. Bye, YouTube.